Hey, we're at Townie Meeting 2016, and it's what is it? Friday morning. It's Friday morning, and we're all hung over from the party last night. It was an awesome party. And we are with what is it called? HTC. HJT. And explain.
Well, the HJT is a architectural dental office design firm. I am T, like Tran, would be.
But explain why you're Tran, but
yeah,
the last letter of your first name is HAN.
My first name is Han. It's spelled HANH. And even though it's just one syllable pronunciation, a lot of my friends and people I meet often change my name for me. So if I write it down or I call an office and I say, "This is Tran calling. Could you tell how I'm called?" And they'll write my name down and you hand it over. And how I've never seen my name before, you go, "Oh, this must be Hank," or "This is Hank or Hans," because you must misspell his name. I mean, I pay you good money, but you misspell the man's name. It got to be HAHN or HANK. And I thought, man, how do I fix this for them? Because I don't want to hurt them for messing up my name. So about 10 years ago, I decided to capitalize my second H. And people go, "Han, is that a legal name?" I go, "Yeah, it's legal." And we remain friends because you don't mess up my name. So it becomes. And
Tran is that Vietnamese?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Vietnam is an interesting country in the fact they got 90 million people, but it seems like half the people in Vietnam only have like 10 different last names. Is that pretty much true?
Yeah. I discovered my in Vietnam, or at least in my family, we didn't take on I took on my father's last name. My mom kept her. And I always thought, Tran and Nguyen, Nguyen, when you see that, that's pronounced one syllable, Nguyen. And I thought, which one is more predominant? My mom won.
Your mom won?
Yeah.
And
so,
what are the most common last Vietnamese names?
It's Tran, no, it's Nguyen, and then Tran, and the rest, I have no idea.
Well, I have two associate dentists, and they're both Vietnamese. One's David No, and
N-O-N-G-O.
NGO. And he explains to the patients, he goes, "My last name's No, just like bingo, B-I-N-G-O. Yeah. And he says it one time, and they all remember how to spell NGO.
Let me tell you a story. We have a townie that contacted us, and so I returned her call, and her front desk say, "This is Dr. Nguyen's office. Can I help you?" And I say, "Doesn't her last name spell Nguyen?" She said, "Yes." I say, "If you want to be in her good side, this is how you pronounce her name. It's Wing." She say, she told me that to pronounce her name Nguyen. I say, "It's because you kept bastardizing her name. It's Wing."
And so go on.
Okay, I'm Jim Jarvis. I'm the architect that's part of this group.
Oh, and I'm Bill Huntzinger, and it's with a Z, not an S. It's a Z.
With a Z.
Z, that's right.
With a Z?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That has to be German.
Yes, but we were actually fought with the French during all the wars because we're from the Alsace-Lorraine area.
Okay.
And so, yes, I love all the German food, but it's French.
I've always had I've lectured in 50 countries. In fact, Ryan and I just got back from Tokyo, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, South Africa, and it's really interesting when you go around the country and you start seeing last names. But what is most exciting is I remember the first time I went to Poland. Poland's like 98% of the people are Polish.
Right.
And I saw this guy and I thought, oh my God, that looks just like my friend from high school. So when I got back, I called him up. I said, "Dude, is there any chance you're Polish?" He goes, "Dude, I'm 100% Polish." So traveling around the world, you start recognizing looks and last names, and I've always been fascinated with this. So you guys specialize in designing dental offices.
Yes.
And one of the things, you're talking to several thousand people. What is the low-hanging fruit? I mean, what dentists always think they know what they know. Everybody knows what they know, but they don't know what they don't know. What do you think a young dentist in dental school or been out 5 years says, "Well, I'm going to design my dental office on a piece of paper, and I know what I want. How would you three guys know what I want? I know what I want, and I just know what I know. What do they not know?
Well, they don't know that they should ask a lot of questions. I mean, we all have a perception of what it is that's important to us or what is right. But I mean, none of us have exclusive to, all the brain power. So if you have some idea and you sketch it out on on a napkin, the more people that you communicate with about your ideas and stuff, especially those in the know, you find out that if you're 60-80% correct, then you're in good hand. But when you get around the professional, let them help you. Let them share their ideas and be open to new ideas. Okay, you can be wrong and still okay, and that way you don't spend all your money trying to correct the things that you're so passionate about that is wrong.
So what is how many dental offices have you designed, and how many years you've been doing this?
We had, let me see, when we focused our energy on dental office, it's been roughly 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've done thousands.
I at least hope thousands.
Yeah.
Okay, across Canada, Australia, India, and of course our mainland United States.
So what are the lessons you've learned over the last decade? I mean, what are the most common mistakes? What are the most common value-added things you guys add?
Yeah, I think that if I to say here's what you need to change, I need to be open-minded to. Cheap is not always the best thing. And that's almost like your patient come in and say, I want you to change, I want you to give me all the implants, but I only want you to use the cheap one. Cheap is not the solution. So I figure that look for the right solution with the right value for your office rather than the cheapest. Like for I know a lot of young guys and girls that's starting out and say, I don't have a lot of money, but I'm gonna go and buy and fill my office with IKEA stuff. IKEA stuff is fine, okay, or things that I buy for my home. That's fine, but in a few short years you're going to replace it, and you do the same. A few short years later, you're going to replace it again. The value is not there. So invest into things that that's going to give you a duration, give you a lot less headache. Okay, so I think they should be a little more open to what's the right thing to do for my office rather than what's the cheapest thing.
Howard, to add a little to the questions you asked about what should be the young or the individual that's maybe 5 years out of school and they want to do something, and maybe they have all those the questions and ideas. The question is, we have assembled a group that has probably the most unique set of experiences that no dentist will have. I mean, we've got a practicing dentist who has over 30 years of experience. You've built and designed and created so many offices, done so many things, a wealth of knowledge. An architect that has worked and designed for 27 years in all kinds of projects around the country. We've got a designer who specializes in dental design. So into the nuts and the bolts and the little issues that are there, the wealth of experience here creates something that no dentist will ever have. And so that wealth or that experience level is something that's very useful. When you ask the question about what should they ask or what should they know, a lot of times they don't have the question. They don't know what to ask. And what we bring to the table is we'll ask those questions for them. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? What would you like to do in this circumstance, or what would you like to do in that circumstance? Because it's all about asking the questions before you start building anything. Never build until you know exactly what you want to do. Ask the questions when we're on paper.
So how did you go from drilling, filling, and building to designing dental offices?
Well, Howard, these guys are really kind. Most dentists don't know a damn thing, okay? Let's face it.
I know. I always only a dentist can tell a dentist,
Yeah.
dude, you don't know shit.
Yeah,
if they're a
and-
non-dentist,
and I'm-
they feel like they can't go there.
Yeah,
They'll tell you.
and
they'll
I'm
tell
with you,
that in
and
the
Han,
bathroom.
and I'm listening to Han talking. I'm sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, he's being so nice this morning."
I know. They're always like they'll only tell you the truth in the bathroom. They won't say it.
Exactly.
Only
Exactly.
a dentist can tell a dentist to go to hell.
Yeah. So basically, very true. So what happened with me is that we've built and remodeled like 8 dental offices. Okay, and the first one I did was really bad. Really bad. I just didn't know what I was doing. So we took a 100-year-old farmhouse, decided to remodel it. By the time we got done, we should have just bulldozed it and start over. Okay. So the next one I did, I was a remodel job. We did okay, right? And then the next one we did
These
was
are all for your own
yeah,
self?
my own. We remodeled I think three other ones. I kept moving. Howard, I don't know if you remember. You
Was
and I
the sheriff driving you to the edge of town and saying, "Go, go"?
No, I was one of your guys. What was the title of the first book you wrote?
Dental Mania? No, the Business of Dentistry.
Business of Dentistry. We went to your class in Detroit, bought the book. I had 3 employees at the time. We decided to do everything that you told us. We didn't know any better. And
But you got to remember, back then you were taking advice from about a 29-year-old
I
dentist.
know, and I'm like probably 8 or 9 years older than you are. But you had success. You had success. You know, I wasn't going to reinvent the wheel. I said, dude, this guy's got all these new patients. He's building a great practice. We hired the general. Remember you said hired the general? I hired a woman 10 years older than me who could close cases and do the money and do the whole deal. So we just did. I didn't like think about it. I said, what is Howard doing? Well, Howard do it. You know. So that's the way we did it.
What would Howard do?
Right. So we came back and we did it. Well, what happened was when we got to the 12-op office for the big expansion, we actually hired somebody who knew what they're doing. Well, the process could have been better. It could have been better. Okay. So then I did another one because my son works with me too, and when we did the second one, I was thinking, you know, we can do better than this. There's got to be a better way. So that's when the 3 of us sat down and said, hey, let's form a company. I said, I kind of understand dentistry because I listened to Howard. I read his book. Okay. And you guys know all the backside. You know where all the nuts and bolts and the cement and the easements and the you know all that stuff goes.
The nuances.
Setbacks, zoning, American Disabilities Act, blah blah blah, all that stuff. They know. But what I know is I know how many active patients you have. I know what your production should be. I know how many ops you should be in. I know how many hygienists you should have. I know how do you like to practice. You like to practice over the patient.
Go through those numbers if they're on top of your head.
Oh yeah, man, I know those numbers.
Rip it out. Rip it out.
I know those numbers.
Let her rip.
Well, most of the guys that I run into don't have a clue. Most of them are underproducing. Most of them, their hygiene departments most of them are awful. That's why you see whole consulting businesses based on that now. So I buy dental practices. I love buying them. I love looking at the numbers. So I've got a guy right now. He's got 1,950 active patients. He takes absolutely zero PPO, nothing, not even Delta Premier. So I'm looking at his practice going.
Now, is this a rural practice where you can get away with that?
White House, Ohio, my friend.
So small town,
Small
no
town.
competition.
I can tell you, if you're in a small town, you're out of the way.
Because it seems like you only see that in a small town. You don't see that in a big urban.
Most of the guys in the bigger city are in the PPO practices.
Right.
Okay. So this one, we're looking at it, and he's probably getting half of his hygiene patients in. He's got 4 ops. He needs 6. You know. So we're going to go in there. I'm going to buy it. We're going to buy it. I've got my son and my partner's associate. We're going to go in and buy it and just build it. We're going to go. Now, we did one in Portsmouth, Ohio, and it's the most economically depressed city in the state of Ohio. It's down on the river. The guy bought the practice at 600. Again, about 1,900 active patients. And he said, 3 years ago, now we're 1.2 million. But again, we walked in there. I said, okay, you've got 4 ops. You need at least 6. See, I really like what you say to people. Because what you're saying is you've got high-priced help standing around waiting to get in a room. The room is what, 6 to 7% of your overhead? 25 to 30% of staff is cost? It's like I hear these guys talk about, well, you know, I don't know if I should equip that room or what should I do or build this or build that. I go, well, how many active patients do you have? How you talk to your patients? What's your recare system look like? A 1,900 active patient should do 1.2 million, and that's a PPO practice even.
It's amazing because almost every office I see, would make more money adding an extra operatory than adding a laser, a CVC.
Absolutely. We have 12, and we should have built 14. I can tell you right now, today, if I could, we need to go back. I need to like reconfigure the building. I'm going to yell at Han about this because he did, and we need 14 ops. We do. And it's just, and that's not a really high cost item at this point.
So, do you think it's because the old saying that dentists want to buy a shiny object, a laser is just cool?
Yeah,
and
Howard, I've got a laser. I do. I've got it. But I did. Remember you talked about that yesterday? Make the money. We made the money. We did. We made the money. I bought These guys know I'm like Star Wars. I'm the guy.
And I do too. I have every damn toy known to man, but I can afford it.
Exactly.
And those toys didn't make my money. Those toys because I love toys.
Right. And they're an adjunct.
Boys and their toys.
Exactly. But it's an adjunct. Like right now, there's a $97,000 laser out there right now that you can use to prepare teeth with no anesthetic. And
which one's that?
Convergent, Solia. It cuts teeth. It's amazing. I love it. But I had the Erbium. I had the Erbium before. I had Indiag. I got the one over here. And it enhances our treatment.
So now,
but that is how I made my money. Here's how I made my money. I listened to you. Okay? When people would call and they had a toothache, what did we do?
Get them in.
Come in. What do we get to do? What do we do with the toothache? What do you tell me? What are we doing with the toothache, Howard?
Root canal, billet, and crown.
Absolutely, man, all day long. And I got to tell you, if I was a young dentist today, I'd be learning how to do endo.
I know.
Like right now. I saw Kit Weathers years ago. I don't know if you remember Kit.
Endo Magic,
man. I bought the whole... I did the same...
Georgia.
Yep. Did you ever go out there?
Absolutely.
Hell of a place, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
reminds you of that old Burt Reynolds movie, Macon County Line.
Yeah.
What was that? What they had? The last scene was a hand came out of the water. What was the name of that movie?
Well, that...
It was a horror flick.
Oh, Defiance.
Was it
no.
Deliverance?
Deliverance. Yeah,
oh my
Deliverance.
God, that was a creepy movie.
Oh yeah.
That's right where Kit Weathers practiced. Yeah, that was the opening scenes.
Well, we're in northern Ohio. If you go in southern Ohio, Portsmouth, actually, that's Well,
let's back up a little bit. True or false? Are you seeing most success, blowout success, rural versus urban, or do you not really see a difference?
Actually, I would say rural, because a lot of these guys are coming out of school and they all want to work in, well, in Ohio, Columbus is cool. It's Columbus, but like they want to work in a bigger city. They want to look where there's things going on.
Walmart was in 32 states before it went to a major city.
Oh yeah,
and Rick Workman of Heartland Dental, he took that page right out of Sam Walton.
And he was brilliant.
Heartland had several hundred offices in cities like Effingham, Illinois, where people say, "Where's Effingham?" And I say, "It's out in the middle of effing nowhere."
It is. I've been there.
And he just skipped right over the Chicagos and the St. Louises and the Phoenixes, and he was going in towns where nobody was. I mean, you go where there ain't. And the dentists don't go where they ain't. They go in a medical dental building where there's already 10 other dentists in a big metropolis that doesn't even need a dentist.
So if you look, see, this is a page out of this is our playbook right here. This is our play. See if that looks familiar to you. See, in that little playbook there, you'll see a grocery store, you'll see a bank, you'll see a gas station, because I was on the old number. I thought 85% of all appointments were made by women.
Okay, you've already made two statements that confirm kind of an old wives' tale where older dentists will say to you, I never met a dentist that built a dental office that didn't wish he'd built it a little bigger.
I agree.
And it seems like when they're going in, they're afraid of the number, they're afraid of the ops, so they try to cut back small. And then 2 years later, they're like, damn, why didn't I go a little bigger? True or false?
True, but active patients are the key. Active patients are the key. I find it fascinating. I'm sitting here talking to these guys today, and they all went to a certain class at a certain state, and they all want to start zero, and I guess you can make money doing it. You started at zero, right?
Yeah.
But different time. How many PPOs did we have when you started?
None.
Yeah, exactly. So you could go through a neighborhood, you had your balloons, your wagon, your kid. Was he with you in those days?
Yeah.
Okay. We did that too. Okay. I was in an associateship when I left the guy. He didn't have a restrictive covenant, so I moved around the corner. Of course, we had the phone book. That's all we had in those days, remember? So they would call his office and say, well, I want to see Dr. Huntzinger. Well, he's gone. We don't know where the heck he is. So I did what you did, went out, handed out my postcards, went door to door. They'd call, come now. I used to pray for broken teeth. Okay, when I listened to a guy the other day talk about don't finance your office with your home equity loan. Okay, when I started my office, interest rates were 22%.
Right. right.
Remember those days?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I financed them on my credit card because none of the banks would loan me any money. So I put my 4 ops in, and we sat there and we waited, and people broke teeth and came in.
That's a blast for pass for young kids, but I got out of high school in 1980, and they got the new Fed Reserve was Paul Volcker from the New York Fed,
Right.
And they put him in charge of the Federal Reserve, and he had it with inflation, so he stopped inflation, and to stop it, interest rates went to 21%, and if you had an adjustable rate loan on your business, bankruptcies were crazy. I had some of my best friends. Dad, who had a farm and that'd been in the family 3-4 generations, losing the farm, go out in the barn, blow their heads off. I mean, it was just,
Oh, yeah.
he
And
had
I
to
wouldn't-
have
I wouldn't
24-hour security guards the whole time. So when I bought my first house, I thought I was lucky because I bought my first house and the interest rate was 14%.
And that's what mine
and the
was,
guy
too.
who sold it to me had 18%. And I thought, damn, I'm doing so good.
We're killing it, aren't we?
And now these people are bitching about getting a
4.
house with 4%.
4.5.
They're like, oh, I should have locked in at 3 3/4. Like, dude, my first one was 14%.
So here's the opportunity, like you're saying, if you can go out some of these smaller towns and buy a practice, you can do really well. I mean, I love listening to hear you talk. I love it. It gets me excited. I'm excited now. I'm 62 years old. I love this deal. It's a great gig. Okay, it's fun. And you got to these smaller rural areas where the guys don't want to go, and you can just kill it. You can kill it.
Go through more of your metrics, though. You're a numbers guy. You got a lot of metrics. Any numbers you can share so these guys can.
Well, okay, so my metrics are active patient base. So who's been in that through that door in the last 18 months you've done an exam on? That's your active patient base. That's pretty much the industry standard now. Okay. So when you were talking about you can't get people in 4, 6, 8, 10 days, that's like, what are you doing?
Crazy.
Yeah, what are you doing? So when I see that, what you'll find is most of the dentists who have that many active patients are probably doing about 200 hygiene visits a month, maybe. Okay, so they're doing 200 hygiene visits a month. The average person in the Midwest now, it's about $140 a visit. So what I do is I run those numbers. So 200. I didn't bring my phone, boys. So what's 200 times 140? $200. 200 patients times $140.
200.
140
is 28,000.
So 28,000. Now I've got to tell you that in 30 years of dental practice, if I take that number and multiply it by 3.3, that's my office production every year for the past 30 years.
So hygiene times 3.3.
0.3 is your office production, okay? And what happens is, so we got 92,000. So what you do is you look at those numbers and you know what's up. So if we had 1,950 active patients, right, divided by 6, how many if we were 100% on hygiene, how many visits would we have, right? So 1,950 divided by 6, what's that? 325 is 100%. What's 325 times 140? Yeah, 45,000 times 3.3, over $1 million. So I think that most dentists who hire the right people, like hire the general, hire somebody who knows what they're doing, get your recare department going, okay? Get your recare effectiveness up to 70%, 60, 70, 80%. The money's sitting there. Now here's the other thing that drives me crazy, is that dentists decided that adults don't need fluoride anymore. Remember when I decided that? Did you decide that at one point? You know, you don't get cavities when you're old, right? Wrong. It's worse, right? We're all on meds that dry out our mouths. We don't pay as close enough attention. So you got all these margins and all these crowns. They're all wide open with dentin. Dentin is 700% less dense than enamel. Fluoride varnish. Hello? Isn't that pretty effective? Isn't the data good? I charge $35 every time I put it on. What does it cost me?
$1.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer.
But insurance doesn't pay for that.
It doesn't matter.
And so what percent of your patients
We
are you getting
we do at least 50% of our patient base gets fluoride varnish.
You just ask them, do you want this extra? It's $30.
And I'm not good. And I'm not good at it. You know, I'm not good at it. You know, there are people that will teach you the right scripting, and if you follow the script, they will buy.
Who are these people? What hygiene consultants do you like?
I like Wendy.
Wendy Briggs?
Wendy Briggs is
Out of Utah?
Yep, I've listened to her stuff.
And she's working a lot with that male dentist.
Yeah, I can't think of the guy's
About
name.
90 offices.
Yeah, I can't think of the guy's name. But you know what? You know the old school guy. You know who the old school guy is? Tom won't be like for me to tell him that he's old school, but Tom Warren.
Tom Warren.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, Tom Warren from Baltimore. No,
Boston, right?
Boston.
Yeah, yeah. And he came out. He's got a great fluoride script. I mean, he's 1,000 Gems guy. It's amazing. But you know,
you talk to him often?
oh, not lately, but I did quite a few years. I talked to him a lot.
Does he still got a ponytail?
I think he does, actually.
Does he still?
I think he does. Yeah, I think he does. Well, and Tom's just a good common sense guy, you know. I mean, he's another guy. He'll talk to you. He said, hey, I failed. This is how I failed. This is what I changed to make it work. So anyway, you got all these guys out there. And you know what?
You know what Tom did that I thought was very interesting? And I took it. The most money I made from Tom Warren, 1,000 Gems guy, back in the day, he opened up his office in Boston.
Yes.
And every time he got a haircut, he'd go to the same barber
Right.
every couple of weeks. And he realized one day it seems like everybody that's coming in or out kind of had the same accent as his barber. So one day he asked his barber, he said, what other language you speak? And he goes, we're all Portuguese. He goes, all my clientele's Portuguese. He said, there's like 2,000 Portuguese people that live around here. And Tom was so motivated, he actually went to school and learned how to speak Portuguese and then started advertising the Portuguese still that here's a dentist that speaks Portuguese. So I sat there and I did the demographics for my 8504. I obviously knew it was English was 3/4, 25% spoke Spanish, and half my staff was fluent in Spanish. But I found out there was this Farsi population there. Farsi, Persian, Iran.
Yeah.
So I was on the lookout. I told my staff, I said, the next employee we get is going to be Persian. And my God, I picked up a Persian receptionist. And the next thing I knew, my God, I literally had 1,000 Persians in my office for years. And they were so sweet. There was a couple of stay-home moms where if the lady came in and my girl wasn't there because we were open 6 days a week, we could literally take the cordless phone into the operatory and I could explain to her, hand it to the phone, so these people just felt at home. So I told this story. This is I told this story like in 90 or 95 or something. And this young punk ass kid out of San Francisco just graduated. Listen to that. Did the demographics for San Fran. Found out there were just islands like this area's Laos, this area's Cambodian, this area's Vietnamese. Started 11 ethnic offices.
Oh my
where
gosh.
this is just going to be focused on Cambodian, and the receptionist is in Cambodian. I can find any white cracker dentist or whatever together. That's not the deal. And he tried to find ethnic dentists because he realized that most of the dentists were crackers, and these people. I mean, if that wasn't your language, you'd want to go to a dentist.
Absolutely.
And he set up 11 offices, and like 3 years out, all 11 were doing $1 million a year. I mean, just on targeting ethnicities.
Paying attention.
I mean,
What's the
just
market?
unbelievable.
What's the market?
Yeah.
But you know what? Dentistry is still so good that the average person can come out, find a practice, look at the active patient base, look at the mix of insurance, and if you're not a jerk, which some of us are, we are, you can just build it. And if you are a jerk, hire people that are nice and keep your mouth shut. You know, my dad told me you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as much as you talk. Now, obviously, I'm not doing that this morning. But so anyway, so the business is the key part. You got to understand what your business is. You got to understand where you are, where you're going. What's going to happen. And then what you do is what I do with these guys. I do the numbers, and it's not hard. I mean, it's put it in your calculator and figure it out. So then I go to these guys. I say, okay, guys, what are we doing? How do we want to set this up? Han knows how many feet that the sterilization should be from the ops and how much space is needed for a reception area. Like, these guys figure weird stuff out. Like, they know how many parking spaces you should have based on how many employees you have.
Okay, here's one thing I never understood.
They know all that stuff.
I want to ask, here's my biggest pet peeve against dental office design. You come in there and you lay down 48,000 miles of piping and plumbing and nitrous oxide lines and all that. Then you backfill it with 4 inches of concrete. And you think it's all good. Then 5 years later, your building settles. All this shit's cracking underneath this much concrete, and they're in there with saws, cutting into the cement, the floors. Is there a way?
Oh yeah, these guys.
I mean, will you talk about that? Because that is a nightmare.
Absolutely, it's a nightmare, and it comes down to one thing: cost, massive cost. We recommend to as many of our clients as possible that you either, as a minimum, put a new building on a crawl space, or better yet, a basement, because in a lot of environments you still have to go down to at least 3'6" or deeper for foundation, because you're in a cold climate. You need to be below foundation frost level. Well, you're already halfway there to a basement. So finish it out, put a floor in it, and then take all your junk, take your mechanical equipment, take all your storage. You never have enough storage in a dental office, right?
Or anywhere.
Anywhere. You've got a big, massive blank basement that you can use, and you solve that problem, because now you've got a wood structure or some other structure that's easy to punch through, that you can do anything you want.
That's a problem then.
Oh, it's a massive problem. And especially the biggest problem that we see is you get the young doctor coming out of school, and he wants to go in and lease a space in a retail center, like adjacent to the shopping center or something like that, and spend whatever per square foot and lease it. Every one of those buildings are built on a concrete slab on grade. The first thing you have to do is, once it's all laid out, is you go in there with a big saw and cut up every piece of concrete you can think of, just to be able to lay down these lines.
Now we just did that.
That cost is astronomical.
Okay, we just
that you
did
don't
that.
need to do
No, we just did that.
with a new building,
Yeah,
or
but we just did that. We just
Yeah.
went in a retail
Sometimes
space.
you
We
have
just
to.
put an ortho office up. So, Howard, it is a problem. But what are we doing now to solve that?
right.
Yeah, I think it's still
You're
it's
stuck.
yeah.
doing
No,
It's not-
actually,
you're in Florida. The water's like right here.
well,
You don't have basements down there.
You actually, Howard mentioned about, you got your building settle and stuff like that. I want to correct that myth. If your buildings settle and crack, you got a stinking lousy building. We never design our building to say, my objective is to have 3 cracks. When I see building like in Florida, the way it's designed and built versus buildings in the Midwest, they take a footer and they raise it to almost at the finished grade level, and then they omit those couple of $1,000 worth of gutter, so all the water runs down and hit the side of the building. The rule of thumb is you want to get the water away from your building as fast as possible. In this case, the water just hit the ground by your building. That soil is usually very strong. When you add water, it becomes soup. That soup can't support your building, therefore your building cracked. So you start out with a bad building to start out with, so that part needs to be corrected. About the slab, there's ways to do those. There's ways to resolve that. It takes a little bit more. It takes a little bit more money. It takes a little bit more of planning, because typically, you go in, you cut the slab, you lay it down, and then you cover it over, and
Yeah, well, I had the
off you
same
go.
complaint, and you guys told me that there was something with the pipe and the way we cut it, the way we had to pour the concrete. It was in something that we were going to have this issue.
Yeah, there is now. If you do a large industrial like factory, and they need to do pipes and stuff like that, they usually run in trenches. That way,
So you can get at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the other thing, Howard, is these guys don't didn't do garages and weren't doing like residential housing and stuff. These guys have done massive projects. Han is very shy. People tell you, Han, you basically worked on everything but like...
I work on everything except nuclear facility and military installation.
Right.
Hospital, prison, museum, factories. Let's talk about factory. Okay, in the old days, if they build a factory, so at the north end, that's where you bring in all of your raw material, and then you run through all the machines and everything, and then at the other end, about 2 miles away, that's where the truck to take it away. Well, somebody come up with that and think like, hell, that's a big building. That's a lot of money in that. So why don't we just right in the middle, at the middle of the building, cut it in half and fold it? So you bring it here on the north end, all the raw material, and it go to the same line of production, and it come around, and then at the same point where the material come in, that's that's where you take the same truck take it out.
Well,
so it's shortening your building,
Right.
Production, the discussion about how we lay out offices and stuff like that in a bank, because you had noise that come across, transfer from room to room, and say, hell, you're in a dentist's office. It's like a factory. Okay, noise.
Don't say that. You're going to upset people, huh?
I mean, noise. I mean, that's part of the buzz. Okay, so why run a mile long of offices? Why not cluster the dang thing so that way you only spend on half of the plumbing, half of the line, and half the amount of distance that you actually have to walk.
So each location throughout the country will have different uniquenesses having to do with just the floor system and the structural system to get to the point of having a floor to start from. Florida has a different area, the warmer climates, Arizona, like here in Nevada as well, then move to the northern climates where you have the frost and the freeze. Those have different issues. So each one of those have to be addressed so that you don't have the issue that you're talking about.
Heck, that even played into water fluoridation because they changed the number from 1 part per billion to 0.7, and it was really, I think it was a bad idea because people in the cold areas drink so much less water than down in the desert, and I'm just sitting there thinking, why do we have to have a national number? Is anyone not realize that North Dakota is different than Arizona?
You were awesome on that fluoridation. I mean, you've been a big proponent for years.
Yeah.
I mean, you were awesome on fluoridation.
You made me think of something else. When you talk about a factory where the raw materials one end and the other end is long deal, one of the neatest factories I ever saw in my life was ADEC. And what was the founder of that ADEC? What was his name?
I can't think of it either.
Oh my God, he was so cool. I took my boys there. We were in a RV and we left Phoenix, went to LA.
So your kids think the same way about you that you think about your dad, right?
Yeah.
You got to go to.
It was what? Joanne Austin. That's his wife, Mr. Austin. But anyway, Ken Austin,
So you're going to the
unbelievable man. I mean, you go to the ADEC factory and there's pellets of like plastic beads and leather hides and all these wires and this and wood. And at a mile down the road, here's ADEC chairs coming off.
Right.
And that's a big question I want to ask you. When you talk about, you go cheap, you buy something cheap, but then you got to replace it in 3 or 4 years. There's a huge variance in the price of dental operatories. I mean, talk about that.
We normally don't price equipment.
Right.
Okay, but of course, everything is economically driven. So if you can't afford an ADEC equipment, maybe you can plan on, a few years down the road. But you don't buy things that that are considered disposable, because every time that you have to shut down an office to replace, it costs you money.
Well, it seems to me, I mean, like I say, there's no money changing hand. No one's paying me to say anything like that. But it seems like the ADEC chairs, I mean, it seems like dentists buy them and then they retire with them 40 years later.
Well, and is
that true or false?
Well, no, that's I can speak to that because I've got a couple of chairs older than people that work in my office. So I actually bought the Pelton Crane chairman chairs years ago, and every time one comes up for sale, I buy it, and we cannibalize it, and we keep using it. Now that chair has a traverse. You remember that chair? Mm-hmm. Awesome chair. Now ADEC, another great company. I got ADEC chairs in my office that are older than. And you just refurbish them and they keep running.
Where's Pelton Crane out of? That's the Midwest?
Yeah, it is, and I can't think of where they are now. But that's changed hands too. All these companies have changed hands. But like when you talk about ADEC, I think that's a good company. But I got to tell you, Howard, I had no money. Remember, I charged my office on my credit card. So I mean, we're going to talk brands. I went out and bought a Belmont all-in-one. Had everything on it.
Now, I want to ask you another big question. When you look at financial advisors, they say diversify. And a lot of dentists are really all their money's in like a 401k.
Right.
And do you think owning your land and building in a dental office is a good long-term diversification?
Where can you put your money that you can make more than in a dental office? What is the return on
investment?
No,
I'm talking about whether renting a dental office space. Like say I go into a strip center,
right,
and I just rent a dental office, and I just do a 5-year lease and renew it every 5 years for 40 years, versus the other guy who went and bought his land and built his dental office.
Got to put it in the right place. Where do you put
location,
it?
Location.
Where do you put it? You put it.
If it's not a retail center that fits this model,
then I have questions about it. I have questions about that.
Yeah.
I have questions about that.
You'd be better off building something that fits this model and works, even though maybe it costs you more to build up front. You're going to get that return back.
But again, urban centers are different. I mean, we got a guy on the 10th floor of a building in Chicago.
Right.
He can't buy that. So you got to work out the best lease. This drives me crazy too. Maybe this drives you crazy. This is what drives me crazy. So we're talking to these guys, and they want to do a build out with their lease, right? Okay. So you lease the building for what? $30 a square foot, whatever the lease price is. Then you want the guy to give you, $15, $20, $30, $40 for the build out per foot. Dentists need to do the math. Okay. Now, if you have no money, you have no credit, you can't get it done any other way, then maybe you want to do that because that loan is built into that lease agreement, correct? Am I right?
Right.
Okay. Well, we just did a calculation in a couple places the other day, and the interest rate on the build out, if you were going to calculate it, was 28% a year. If you went to the bank, you could borrow it for 4?
Yeah.
So I don't get that. So again, what's the best deal for where you are? Okay. So now when you went in that area in Phoenix, it was on the edge of town at that point, or where were you?
I was the southernmost part of Phoenix when I opened up. Now Phoenix goes 5 miles out further. 20 years later.
Right.
But I spent a lot of upfront time on demographics. I got a 6 foot by 4 foot map. This was 87, no computers. I traced out the 303 census tracts. I took the 70 census, 80 census, 85 mini census, and had a white index card for all 303 tracts of dentists per population. What was the ratio? And I found 2 zip codes, one in the southernmost part of Phoenix and one in the northernmost part of Scottsdale that were one dentist for 6,000 people. And by the time you got downtown Phoenix and downtown Tempe and downtown all the suburbs, it was like a dentist for every 1,100 in some of those areas. And so same thing. I did demographics in Southern Cal for a friend. And by the time you went from viewing the ocean from San Diego all the way to Monterey, the first mile in was about a dentist for every 300 people. And by the time you got an hour inland to like Palmdale, back in 87, it was a dentist for every 6,000 people.
Yeah, so it's like a no-brainer.
And everybody I knew that was going in areas of like a dentist for every 5,000 or plus, they were all getting 100 new patients a month and crushing it. But dentists don't do demographics. And then they'll go into an area and there'll be a medical dental building, and then they'll say, well, I got a really good deal on this lease, and they're doing these tenant improvements, and they're like the 10th guy in the building in a neighborhood that has a dentist for every 600 people. And I'm like, are you insane? But the problem is dentists always know what they know, and that's calculus and physics and geometry, and they don't know demographics.
Right. But what do banks like? When a bank loans you money on something, they love owner-occupied space. I mean, when I build a dental office, I say, hey, I'm in this building, we're working it. They love that. Now, depending on where you're in the country, I know guys that build buildings, and of course they build it twice as big, and they hope to lease the spot next door to a lawyer or whatever. And they sit vacant for years. I mean, we're in Toledo, Ohio, okay? It's the Rust Belt, all right?
Is that where Klinger was from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony Pacos, baby. Yeah. Tony Pacos. So yeah, you spent a week there one night, So yeah. So anyway, I'm in a town of 3,500 people. I have 5,500 active patients. We draw from like 30 miles. We do. Why? 12 ops. We're open Monday 8 to 8, Tuesday 8 to 8, Wednesday 8 to 8, Thursday 8 to 8, Friday 8 to 5, Saturday 8 to 12. When you call our office, we answer the phone. We don't have an answering system. She picks up the phone. That is one of the most important things you talked about yesterday. If she is, and they do, we call office. Okay, I know that we're supposed to be talking about architecture and design, all that stuff. These guys are awesome. But if you don't got this end running over here, you can't do what we can do. You need,
and that's the other problem with it seems like our profession has gone completely technology driven, but these dentists don't have their houses in order. And they think the technology is going to get their house in order, and they need to just get their house in order. And if you get your house in order, god dang, go fly to the Dominican Republic, learn how to do implants, get your lasers, get your CAD CAM. I don't care what you do, but you got to get your house in order. You got to get your business poised for growth. Start making money, and then buy those toys with cash, just like you buy a Porsche with cash, a boat with cash,
a cabin
absolutely. With cash. You don't buy a Porsche, a boat, and a cabin because you think it's gonna, get your business in order. You want to build
in order. Well, Han is exactly right when he talks about the fact it's a kind of a factory mentality. But again, just like you talked about, you got to build trust. But you gotta get this. I'm telling you, this is like I would never go into Columbus, Ohio, and build an office in the middle of town somewhere. I would find.
Well, hey, let's get to the chase. So this is Dennis Uncensored. What is your website? What do you charge for this? How does this work? Some dentist is sitting there thinking about, I definitely want to build an office. How does he get a hold of Han? What's the website? What's the cost? What's the fees? Do you have a consultation? I mean, can he talk this out first? I mean, talk about the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah, our website is www.hjtdesign. That's H like in Howard, J like No, that's H like Huntzinger with a capital
Jarvis,
Z, Jarvis, and Tran.
Huntzinger, Jarvis, Tran.
Design.com.
Yeah, so if you want to
Okay.
talk about how to get the
And you're
building.
William, or you go by Bill?
Hey, you mostly.
What?
Hey, you.
Hey, you.
Hey, you. Or, yeah, it's Bill.
We call him Bill.
Or hey,
Yeah.
you're Doc, or whatever.
So it's HAT for Huntzinger, James Jarvis,
Right.
And Tran. Yeah.
So Howard,
Yes, sir.
Howard, Hans going to talk about money and cost. Okay, here's the deal.
Yeah. Thanks, Howard.
We have a fee. We charge for the service. Guess what? It's done right. It's done right. You don't have to rethink this. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
And what is that fee?
Anywhere
Well,
from
no,
It's a percentage of the construction.
our fees are
you go.
usually based on the same thing that your patient comes in and say, hey, doc, I'd like you to work on my mouth. And how much it costs. Well, hopefully you pull them aside and say, let me take a look, like get you a set of
what's the
x-ray
lowest
and
number we've
awesome.
ever done? 7%, 8%?
Yeah,
Yeah, about
it depends on the complexity of the project.
About
how-
7%.
And things like that. But usually our fees are based on the scope of service, and it usually costs between 7 to 15% of
Because
construction
sometimes
costs.
we do interiors, Howard. We do the whole
Yeah.
thing.
We do everything. We have the ability to do everything. Now, I don't want to say turnkey because, in my opinion, turnkeys mean you're going to give me a blank check. I'm going to design this wonderful Taj Mahal that you're going to pay for, that I'm going to be able to brag to other people that I just built a award-winning design, and I hand it over to you, and you go like, shit, hon, I don't like pink. Now you got a turnkey building. Okay.
I want to talk about construction. Is this happening done? I remember.
Howard, I'll finish the thought. You asked about we also have what's called a free consultation.
Yes.
All right, that's very important. So for anyone that's really thinking about wanting to do something, please get a hold of us. Get a hold of us on the website. Call us. You can sign up for the free consultation. That's when we'll sit down, look at where you're at, what you're trying to accomplish, and at least give you a beginnings of a roadmap to move forward with what you would like to try to accomplish.
Howard, it's on
What's
metal.
then-
the phone number?
The phone number for the office is 419-517-5370.
Okay, say it again.
419-517-5370.
And that's in Ohio.
That's in our Ohio office. Our website also has our individual contacts, so you can get a hold of any one of us individually.
So why do you have a Florida office too?
Because that's where our
like
Han
Florida.
is.
You live there?
That's where I live, yes.
That's where you live.
And-
you live in Ohio.
Yeah, we're in Ohio.
Yeah, and in the last podcast, you said, "Gosh, this guy is brave. He give you his
Cell
cell
phone
phone
number.
number, which is 419-410-1562." And yes, I answer it personally.
Yeah.
Say it again.
419-410-1562.
And that's your personal cell phone number.
Right.
Yes.
And so the free
So
consult.
if you're a
will at
woman
least-
listening to this right now and you're in the bathroom at Circle K, please write on the wall for a good time. Call Han.
right. But that free consult will get you at least some information to get started. Then you can begin the process. You don't have to always use us.
Download the construction guide. It's on
And
metal.
and the other part is we have this amazing document known as the construction guide. Please download it because it has a wealth of knowledge that a dentist will not have. You don't get that training from anywhere, and that at least will go over the nutshell of what the process you're going to go through to remodel, to build, to do anything when it comes to your physical practice.
Now, how
Talk about your online CE course,
but the online CE course was kind of unique. When you
which is on the iPhone.
Yes, when you talk about design, it's not a one-size-fit-all for everyone. No. Okay, the C course, when I was asked to do that, I thought, what would be the most value to those that's looking at building or designing an office? I mean, you can call anybody and tell you, okay, you can design this or that and that, but it may not fit for you. So what information you need to know? Well, all the things that associate with the whole process that you have no idea about. So at least you know what to anticipate.
It's Howard. It's brilliant. Okay, Han is on that online course that Dentaltown has. It's awesome. So if you're even thinking about maybe someday I might do a dental office somewhere,
Just look up HanH Tran. Yeah. But I'm going to put you in the spot for a second, okay? I know that recently that you remodeled your office, and so from from a standpoint
this was going so
a
good.
service provider to a consumer, because our we have clients that say, I want to remodel my office, but I want to stay open, or I want to remodel my office in phases, and so on. And we go like, okay, first, why? Why do you really want to remodel and still want to stay open? Are you prepared for that? The headache that comes with it. Can you shut it down? How much time can you shut it down? If you need to stay open, and so we can do in phases, we have to look at how it can be done. So logistically, it makes sense. You can still practice and make money. And then a few weeks down the road, we can shift you over to the next place. You still can make money, and we still can do our work. So when you look at, I said to one of your staff earlier yesterday, I said, if you know you're going to have migraine, take the biggest one once and get rid of it, and then enjoy the rest of your life. Why divide it up into 2 or 3 pieces and go, man, I love the migraines. So when you renovate your office, I know it's just cosmetic stuff, and you're done in phase. Can I ask you why?
I agree. That's a great point, and it reminds me of an amazing story, which we did a whole cover on Dentaltown one time. There was a huge natural disaster tornado that struck Missouri. What was the name of it? Was it Springfield, Missouri, or
no,
was
it
was Joplin?
Joplin,
Missouri, and everything was going good. Then
and wiped it out.
Wiped out, and there was a lot of dentists that lost not only their dental office or home, they lost everything. And a year later, I told Tom Giacobbe, I said, we need to talk to these people. What were the lessons learned, because I was initially thinking that, who had the most savings or insurance or whatever. And there's a lot of lessons there about insurance and office overhead. Right. But the guy who came out the best was everybody lost their dental office. It literally took
right to the
year to get the whole thing rebuilt. And they lost, they almost lost everything. But one guy found a mobile dental office and had it right where his destroyed practice was in like 3 days. And that guy came out like Phoenix from the ashes. I mean, he absorbed everything around him. He had the biggest practice on the block because he got a mobile dental office. And I mean, talk about ingenuity. There's dental offices in semi-trucks.
I've been in some of them. In Florida, last year they had one at the fairground in Tampa. And I was curious, how the heck do you function in basically a semi-trailer? It was awesome. I think they had 3 chairs, and it was an event where people come in for free dental work, and they had I do believe 3 or 4 of these mobile units that were sitting out. I thought, dang, you can go pretty much from town to town, and provide dentistry without having to have a pinned down location.
I want to ask you another question. I get this question, believe it or not. I get this very strange question, maybe every quarter. A Walmart, IKEA, Kroger, Supercenter just built out in the deal. There's nothing to rent or lease. I'm not sure I want to be here. What do you think about building a modular dental office? And if 3 or 4 years later I decided this rural area is not the right for me, I could pick up my modular home and move. Because I got to tell you something, I have lots of friends in Kansas where if you're in Phoenix and you want to have a home built,
right,
there's literally 20 different home builders that could build you a custom home.
Right.
But when you're in Russell, Kansas, and you want to build a home, the contractors are driving from 3 hours away. And so modular home business is in fact, Warren Buffett of Berkshire Hathaway, one of the best investors ever, just bought a modular home company because the operation logistics of building in rural is not very good. So build it where there's an assembly line and then move it. What do you think of modular dental offices?
That's what these guys do. What do you think?
Yeah, I think modular units is really it could be an alternative to stick built, or just conventional concrete and steel, because it cuts down time. Okay, you look at once in a while you drive down the road and you see just a stack of boxes. You go, what is that? Oh, that's the new Holiday Inn Express, because they built in modular units.
Really?
Yes, hotel, prison. Okay, yeah, prison. It's almost like little boxes, and they just stack them together. They bolt them together. It makes sense because it's time frame and economics. It's everything is control. So can a dentist's office be put into, can be built in a modularly? Takes a little bit more coordination. I haven't found it, because I'm interested in how can you build a better mousetrap. Okay, I look at homes that are done modularly. They already have that whole concept figured out. But for a dentist, there's a little bit more coordination. So there's a little bit more time investment to see how this stuff can work. You put a modular unit onto a crawl space, then
We love it.
we love it. That would be cool.
Yeah, we're
Because you have
always
access to it.
we're always looking for the best solution for the individual
At that point.
So if it's an ultra rural, that might be the perfect solution. If it's a moderately rural environment where there is contractors available, then there might be panelization systems and other systems to be able to help speed up the construction process, because it's all about from the minute you say go to the minute I open the doors. You want to try to minimize that time frame, because that's money. It's money two ways. It's money in the construction cost, and it's money in lost revenue, because you'd much rather get those things open. And if we're doing a 9 ops versus your 4, you've got 5 ops that are making you money.
So Howard, what we can do is when we look at your business, when we look at the construction, we look how it all comes together. One of the coolest things that if a dentist is smart is you gear up. Now, I moved from 5 ops to 12. Okay? So once we kind of had a date that we knew the building was going to be open, my partners and I decided to work harder. Because why? Because we wanted to fill those 12 ops up. So we opened more hours. We worked through lunch. We gunned it. We just gunned it. So what we had is that 5 op office geared up. So when we moved over to that 12 op office, it was running. It was running.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me go back to one thing that you mentioned earlier. Why do we dig a trench and put all the infrastructure underneath it and cover the darn thing and all that? In the United States, as Americans, we're really, really slow in adapting ideas from other countries besides the United States. Okay, in Europe, you've been in a true computer room, the old computer room, where it's really cool, and you walk across they call it the floor they call accessible floor. Now, in European countries and even in some of the developing Asian countries, they build a building and they have a subfloor, they have a subspace, there's an interstitial space where all the mechanical stuff go underneath, and they have a flooring system, the accessible floor. You need to access the mechanical stuff, you lift up the panel, and you get to it, and you put it back in. So you never have to dig anything. It is so sophisticated, so flexible. That's why they use it in computer rooms, okay? And they use it in large office space and stuff like that for the flexibility in changing the technologies. In the United States, the only way we're going to build this darn thing is cheap. We're not interested in looking at anything else. We're just going to do just the way that we always done it. We're going to dig the footer, put it in, put a slab. Oh, I'm going to build a dentist office, so let's cut the slab back out. So if you're looking at a new building and stuff like that, there's technologies and there's ways to do things, but the consumer, they have to be encouraged and be educated so that they can make the decision that's best for them long haul.
So out of the ground, we're not going to recommend slabs to a lot of people unless that's absolutely the only choice we have. But again, a retail space in a strip mall, you're stuck. That's what it is, Right. But again, these guys know this stuff. These guys know how to design the building. We listen to you, quite honestly, a lot, and we know where these should go. You were talking about investment. Should you buy the building? Well, again, it's location, location, location on real estate. You know, you've been there how many years in your space?
28.
So it's probably still okay. The real estate market is still probably good there. It's a, you know, are you in a location where, like, if Walgreens wanted to buy your building, they pay you God knows what? Because I know corners in Ohio where Rite Aid and Walgreens wants to go. Those are,
you could drop $1 million.
They love them.
Yeah.
They buy them away from you.
Yeah.
So you do that. Now, there are parts of town now in Toledo that if you would have put your office there, you know, 40, 50 years ago, that's gone down. So you got to pay attention. You got to know what the market is, you know. But in our lifetime, generally, if you buy your building and put it up in your right spot, you're going to be good.
So last question.
That's an asset.
Our hour's up. We're in double overtime, but you gave away your age. You said you were 62.
Yep.
I get this question a lot when you're in dental schools. They say, Howard, do you think becoming a dentist was a lot better idea when you were a kid and you got out of school in the 80s? Do you think going into dentistry was still a good idea in 2016?
It's actually a great idea right now. When I came out, I graduated from dental school in 1980. It was the largest amount of dentists that ever graduated that year. I don't know if you remember, we went through a stage where they closed like 15 dental schools. Remember that?
Oh, Georgetown, Emory, Farley Dickerson, Northwestern, whole slew.
All gone. Right now we're building again. You know, it's going again. So when I came out, I thought I couldn't get a job, quite honestly. You know, I went to work for a guy that was a classmate and we starved. So I was thinking maybe this is not so smart. But again, you got to remember, where did we come from? Okay, my family's all steel workers. I grew up in Middletown, Ohio. There's a big steel mill there. My uncle worked in the mill. My dad worked in the mill. My cousin worked in the mill. Everybody worked in the mill. My aunt was a dental assistant. I went to her office. I said, holy crap. What a nice gig this guy has. It's air conditioned. You get to talk to people. You work with your hands. You fix things. It's a great thing. Dentistry is even better now. We have better materials. We have cooler, things go faster. We're more efficient. People actually don't hate us like they used to. Man, well, nothing personal, Doc, but I hate dentists. You know, we rarely hurt people. I mean, it's like, Septicane is like one of the greatest things ever invented. It's like, hello, I can infiltrate a lower tooth and numb it and work on it. It's amazing. It's so cool. No, dentistry is wonderful. I got my wife's family smarter than all the people in my family. So there's a bunch of doctors, okay? And it's interesting, my nephew, who's is a thoracic surgeon at the Cleveland Clinic. He came to me a couple of years ago and he goes, okay, how many hours do you work again? I told him. And he goes, well, how much do you make? And I told him. And he goes, I should have been a dentist, huh? I said, well, you know, Daniel, you're really too smart to be a dentist. You know, we need surgeons. We need good, sharp guys. Dentistry is, my son's a dentist. Okay, he came to me and he said, hey, Dad, how's this dental gig? He was pre-med. How's the dental gig going? I said, well, you know,
not bad.
Not bad. You know, we're doing okay. You know, I mean, I got a pretty sizable six-figured income, and some days it's more, and it's been really good. And it's 62 years old. I mean, how many guys, Howard, you go in the office, right?
Yeah.
It's fun, right?
Yeah, I love it.
I do too. I'm 62 years old. I like going to the office. I love talking to these guys. They're awesome. So I would say yes, go into dentistry, come out, find somebody smart, read their, I'm telling you, Howard, if your book is still out there, buy that cotton picking book and read it. Okay? It's fundamentally awesome. Your take on the business of dentistry changed my life. It changed my life. It's amazing. I mean, how does a guy from Middletown, Ohio, you used to work in the Coke plant at McDonald's, all that stuff, go into Toledo, Ohio, and build 2 big dental offices with 24 ops, have 50-some employees, own a dental lab, own a dental, how do you do that?
And I just want to say one thing. I mean, the median average individual income in the United States is only like $18,900. Right. Median average household income is under 50. It's like $49,000. Median average dentist is $175,000. So $175,000 divided by, just say 19,000. What is that? I mean, that's 9 people. You're making more money. You're making the same money as 9 other average Americans.
Okay,
and you're inside and you're getting people out of pain. And I feel like a hero when you come in and you couldn't sleep last night and you're holding your face and you're swollen and you're scared and you hurt and I fix all that. and you leave, and you're not in pain, and you saved your body part, and I fixed you all up, and I'm getting paid what 9 other people are.
Well, yeah, and Howard,
how
if you're
cool
worth
is that?
if you're worth a crap, you're making more than that. I mean, I look at that number and I go, what are these guys doing? Really, seriously, you don't have your house in order. You're not running your business the right way. If you're only doing that, there's something wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And to qualify that was getting an adult out of pain. That was not getting a 3-year-old screaming kid out of pain.
Oh, yeah, we talked to the pedodontist.
On that
Dude,
note,
we talked to the
get
pedodontist
us the hell out of my office and find a pedodontist.
Yeah, we talked to that guy last night. It's unbelievable what they do. There's a guy out here. It's unbelievable what they do. Those guys are. I love sending them those kids.
Those guys are saints. But hey, thank you so much for spending an hour with me. Thank you so much for coming to Tiny Meeting. Thank you so much for building out online C-cords. That was amazing. I had so much great feedback on that. Thank you guys for all that you do for dentistry.
Oh, thank you, Howard. You're a great asset to the profession.
Thanks again, Howard. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan, thank you. Great job.
Thanks, buddy.